Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is now 9 a.m. and you are listening to and watching Good Morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and specifically Good Morning, Aurora weather here on the second largest city's first daily weather report. Once again, the weather comes from the National Weather Service of Chicago, delivered to you here locally on Good Morning, Aurora. Now, I know what you're thinking. Curtis, I see a lot of 9s, I see a lot of 8s. We will talk about the temperatures and the humidity that we can expect collectively. But today, as we can see, we got a daytime high of 91 degrees with a daytime low of 87 degrees. Now, there is a 20 to 40% chance of thunderstorms today, as we can see right here. That 20 to 40% transitions into the evening. Look at that, 60% heavy storms. 73 degrees for the nighttime high, 68 degrees for the nighttime low. Look at tomorrow now, check it out. 91 degrees for the daytime high, 87 degrees for the daytime low. Now, what do we notice? The thunderstorms that start today and persist into tonight follow us into Wednesday as well. 40 to 60% chance of thunderstorms. It's going to be so humid, they even put the little emoji here. Humid, like my grandma used to say. Wednesday night, 75 degrees for the nighttime high, 71 degrees for the nighttime low. Now, what do we notice? Heavy rain is still possible on Wednesday night, 40 to 60% chance of thunderstorms. Now, if that continues, what do we got? Curtis, going to be humid again. It's going to be so humid they put very in front of humid. Very humid. Thursday, 89 degrees for the daytime high, 86 degrees for the daytime low. Now look at Thursday night. 72 for the nighttime high, 67 degrees for the nighttime low. Still more thunderstorms. Those thunderstorms indeed persist into Friday, 83 degrees for the daytime high on Friday and 80 degrees for the daytime low. Now, I know what you're thinking. Curtis, that's not going to stop me from barbecuing out of cheddars on the grill. If you do that, save a brother a plate. Friday night, 71 degrees for the nighttime high and 67 degrees for the nighttime low. Now, it looks like there will be no rain or thunderstorms on Friday night, and that we can enjoy. Once again, let's recap. Today, 91 degrees for the daytime high, 87 degrees for the daytime low. Tomorrow, 91 for the high and 87 degrees for the daytime low. Humid temperatures on Wednesday. Going into Thursday, 89 degrees for the daytime high, 86 degrees for the daytime low. And on Friday, once again, 83 degrees for the daytime high, 80 degrees for the daytime low. That is your weather report here on Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We have a great show and interview for you today. My guests are the members of the Kane County Collaborative Diversion team. Let's get ready to learn. Oh! Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Once again, you are watching the second largest city's first daily news podcast. Good morning, Aurora. And as mentioned, I have the members of the Kane County Collaborative Diversion team with me on the show today. We're going to learn a lot about the Kane County Collaborative Diversion program, its aims, and indeed its origin as well. So I have Patrick, I have Sheli, I have Lovey, and I have Chris with me, a fantastic quartet of law enforcement. Oh, you guys like that. How you guys feeling this morning, first of all?
Feeling good.
Feeling good.
All right, all right. So if you could, please, I just introduced this, but introduce yourself and your role in the Kane County Collaborative Diversion team. Yep.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Did I get it right?
Not bad, brother, not bad.
Okay. So my name is Christopher Thomas. I'm the case manager supervisor out of the state's attorney's office for the Kane County Collaborative Diversion, and I pretty much oversee the day-to-day operations of the case managers in the program.
Okay, wonderful.
So I'm Lovey Fields. I am the community engagement coordinator, and I am through the sheriff's office, and I work with building the relationships with law enforcement, community partners, and just educating the community on what we do.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm Sheli Massie. I'm a social worker with the Kane County Collaborative Diversion Program, and I help carry a caseload of clients and participants.
Wonderful, wonderful.
My name is Patrick Keane. I'm the project manager for the Kane County Collaborative Diversion. I work out of the state's attorney's office.
All right. So a collaboration between the Kane County Sheriff's Office and the Kane County State's Attorney's Office. What are the aims of the Collaborative Diversion Program? It sounds simple enough and self-explanatory enough, but what are its aims and what are its origins?
So our program is about 3 years old.
Okay.
We started with Jamie Mosser, the state's attorney. She saw that there was a need for individuals who are kind of slipping through the cracks and that there wasn't anything for them. So she did some research, and that's where she found LEADS, which is the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. And she went to our sheriff, the Kane County Sheriff, and spoke with him and decided to partner together to create collaborative diversion. We started off as pre-arrest, but when people hear arrest, they get kind of nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also wanted to show that it was a true collaboration. So we're collaborating with the state's attorney's office, the sheriff's office. We're working to get a collaboration with the health department. And then we have community services throughout Kane County that we collaborate with. So that we wanted to highlight that. So that's where the name change came from about a year ago.
Okay.
So the aim is to help individuals who suffer from homelessness, mental illness, substance use issues, or just don't have the resources that they need. We want to divert them from the system. A lot of these individuals are recycled through the system, and just putting someone in jail for some of these low-level nonviolent offenses isn't helping. So the goal is to get them the resources and the help that they need, which will then in turn also help the community.
Right, right. Now, LEAD, you mentioned the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. I believe that was the started in Seattle.
Yes.
Right, started in Seattle, showed a lot of promise in Seattle, and then such been adopted in a lot of other places nationwide.
Yes, it is nationwide.
That's awesome. So some of the things that you did mention, you mentioned like homelessness and addiction. So it sounds like there's a continuum of care aspect to it as well. Perfect question for the social worker.
Sure. So our team helps to provide wraparound services for those in the community that are the most vulnerable, the most at risk. Some of our clients are houseless, some are transient, some almost all, just haven't been connected to the resources that they need to support them, and hence why addiction then becomes forefront, or that we see behaviors or them go into the system when it isn't about what happened, it's about what happened before. What wasn't there before. And so our team then comes alongside and says, how can we help you? Do you have access to food? Do you have access to shelter? Do you have access to medical care? How can we help provide that for you?
Right, right. Now, Patrick, you mentioned that you have your background's in law enforcement, and then now assuming this role, how does that help you into your present duties?
Right. Well, Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I spent 25 plus years with the Illinois Department of Corrections in various roles. And I dealt with dealing with individuals who are on the opposite end, the back end of the criminal justice system. One of the things I wanted to do throughout my career was, after I finished with the state of Illinois, was to go to the front of the system and assist people who don't need to be involved in the criminal justice system.
Right.
Meaning, if, you know, is with what Sheli just said and what Lovey said, as a community, we have a responsibility to everybody.
Right.
And even though some behaviors or some actions or some situations might be written and some things might be, for lack of a better term, against the law, that doesn't mean that the individuals should be treated in a negative fashion.
Right.
And just because I've been blessed with some things in my life, I feel it's important to then pay it forward to those that haven't been blessed with the things I've been blessed with. So in turn, with a lot of years working in the facilities, I saw a lot of broken spirits. So I kind of made it my goal, or I guess my focus, to assist on the front end.
Yeah.
So
There's an aspect of this whole program, because we did mention this last year, and that's when I found out about the LEAD program and its inception. There's an aspect of this that I really like and respect, the work that Ron Hain has done and other people, is that, you know, what this is showing is that, yes, law enforcement is important, but it also is a great way to show where the bad actors are in the community and the people who need to actually be incarcerated. There are a lot of people who, through addiction and things like that, sure that, you know, possession is against the law. But if that's because you're unhoused, that's different than selling drugs. And I really appreciate the work, you know, your statement and what you just said, because there are a lot of people who have those issues and have entered in the system, which is not nice. Prison's not a nice place. But that is not solving your addiction, which still remains. So, I'm sorry.
It's because locking individuals up is not always the answer.
Right.
You know, so if they're dealing with a substance abuse issue, a lot of times mental health coincides with that.
Right.
So like Sheli said, we're trying to find an underlying issue. Why are they stealing from this grocery store?
Right.
Are they stealing to support a habit? Or they're stealing to support a family? You know, and that's where we come in at, because being incarcerated with mental health is not always the answer. Sometimes it can actually make it worse, you know.
Right. The time is 9:12 a.m. You are listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we are here with our guests of the Kane County Collaborative Diversion team. Now, besides the work that you guys do every day, how can we or the listeners learn more about you or see you in the community? Are there any events that take place? Or I know there are some workshops that the Kane County Sheriff's Office does from time to time. Is there anything that the community can learn more about or take part in?
So we do have a website that is through the state's attorney's website as well. We will be at Aurora's farmers markets the first 3 Wednesdays in August in the morning from 9 to noon. And then on, I believe it's August 17th, we will also be at Aurora's farmers market, and that's a Saturday. So we'll have a bunch of information. And then I can't remember the exact dates, but it's the first 2 Thursdays or every other Thursday in August. We have pop-up shops in front, or a pop-up harm reduction table in front of the SOA's office. So you'll be able to get information there as well.
Okay. Now, over the 3 years since the program started, over that time, what have been some of the success stories that we've seen that we can share about some of the great work that's been done? Great segue, right? These segues, always.
So I think that, you know, success isn't measured by numbers. Success isn't measured by what perhaps the public would think is success. Mm-hmm. But I can say personally from, you know, different clients that success could be, you know, obtaining a driver's license. It could be having someone advocate for you next to you in court. It could be a success of following the harm reduction principles that we follow, and saying, you know, I'm going to come alongside you wherever you're at and meet you where you're at, because I value you as a person. I see the dignity inside of you, and I believe that this is only a part of your story.
Right.
It could be giving birth, to a healthy child after, struggling with some addiction issues. It could be showing up to appointments on time. So what I see as success in my clients and encourage them and support them in is very different than, they got housed and we have had clients get housed, which is fantastic, but that is not, it can't be the ultimate goal for everyone.
Sure.
Because we need to meet them exactly where they're at and provide them, that autonomy and dignity.
Right. 9:15 is the time. What does the next 5 years look like for what we're doing in all of our efforts combined? For this, that's the state's attorney's office and the sheriff's office.
I think one of the things would be getting all of law enforcement in Kane County on board. We have about half of the police departments that are on board. It would be great to have them all. Along with expanding just our service providers. We are always open and looking to partner with new service providers that have services. Because we have our partnerships, but we know there's more out there. The community always needs them, especially when it comes to housing. Housing is so difficult right now. So just expanding our resources and our reach within Kane County, I think would be one of the biggest goals for us.
All right. You mentioned getting other police departments on board. How can we help with that?
I think if you're in a community and you feel like Kane County Collaborative Diversion is for you, then you need to reach out to police departments, your mayor, the chief of police, city. If you have city council or aldermans, I know each town is different, and vocalize that you want these services. Even if your police department is not signed on, we can still offer you help. So reaching out to us, if you know someone, whether it's you, a family member, someone in the community that needs help, just reach out to us and we can still help in the community, even if we're not partnered with the police department. But definitely vocalizing that you believe that this is where we need this in your town, then speak it out.
Okay, I like that. Speak it out. Shout, shout. Shouting. All right. Corey Ingram is here. Good morning to you, Corey Ingram. Daniel Calderon, good morning to you. Aisha Saxon as well. Sandy Crawford. Tracy Duran, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day with beautiful friends. I indeed concur. Alexa Godinez, good morning. Luz Elena Brambrilla Guerrero, good morning to you. Paul Dominguez is here. He says good morning. And Sandy Crawford says good morning as well. We appreciate that very much. 9:17 is the time. So what are the... what type of, we mentioned low-level offenses. Where's the threshold of offenses to where a person is eligible or ineligible? Where does that
So we
lie?
pretty much deal with nonviolent crimes.
Okay.
Criminal trespassing, retail theft, petty possession charges. Petty possession charges, retail theft, criminal trespassing. So a lot of nonviolent offenses. Is what we deal with, yes.
All right. And so, walk me through the steps now. So a person has been charged and is seeing the judge, and then does the judge make that determination, or is that based on person's history?
Be our post-arrest referral.
Okay.
We're trying to get you before you get into the system.
Okay.
So
See, I'm unsure of that. I don't know.
I'm
about
educated.
that.
I'm
Yeah.
educated. I got you. So with the pre-arrest referral, that's if an officer is, like I said, at the grocery store and caught an individual shoplifting.
Okay.
And instead of arresting that individual, they can reach out to us and send us a referral. And one of the case managers or even myself will come out to the scene and do a warm handoff and get them involved into our program. So that's typically what we want, which is pre-arrest, is before they even get into the system.
Okay.
And then the officers will pretty much just shelve that charge for about 60 days while we're working with the individual. And if they're not compliant, then we'll reach out to law enforcement and they can go ahead with the charges and submit a warrant or however they go about with that.
Okay.
And then we have a social contact referral. So it's not necessarily an arrestable offense being committed at the time, but you may know an individual that's suffering from mental health or substance abuse issues that you can just refer them to us as well. And that can come through law enforcement as well too. And then also we have the community referral, which can come from a hospital, a church. They just know individuals that just need help. And then, like you said from the beginning, the post-arrest, they've unfortunately already been arrested and then they're in the system, and then we can work our way back up from that part.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So so basically they've got it sounds like a 60-day period with you guys to show
Typically
to show.
if charges are brought up.
Okay.
Typically if charges are brought up.
Okay.
Because that gives time to make sure like if they're compliant with us and the officer just didn't pretty much waste their time like they're getting off scot-free. No, they're not.
Right.
We're going to keep in contact with law enforcement.
Okay. Patrick, what's the benefit of all this to Kane County?
Well, the benefit is, and Lovey talked about partnering with law enforcement agencies, is with the law enforcement agencies and first responder agencies, it's budget neutral. You know, if somebody if an officer in Aurora finds somebody in front of a store and they need mental health assistance and they are called, which, you know, our community does, they call 911
Right.
because that's the community framework in which we operate under. And the officer gets there and sees that this is not a criminal call and gives Chris a call or Sheli, and then we respond and we move them towards, you know, to deal with whatever the acute needs are. We're not charged. There's no charge. So we offer not just a community of support, but also support for the towns and the villages and the cities of this county, which is revenue neutral.
Right.
You know, and at this point in time, I know everyone is stretching their tax dollars, which is, you know, we're trying to find new ways to provide essential services.
Right.
And what we are talking about is essential services.
Right.
So this is one way the state's attorney and the sheriff's office have found a niche in order to provide their community, the rest of us,
Right.
a service that is budget neutral. You know, we don't have to, Aurora doesn't need to find the money. Carpentersville doesn't need to find the money. Campton Hills doesn't need to find the money. However, all they need to do is dial a couple of numbers and you have the team
Right.
coming out to you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. 9:21 is the time. If you are just joining us, we're sitting down with the team of the Kane County Collaborative Diversion Program team and learning all about this fantastic program here in Kane County. Do you guys have any need for volunteers? Is there anything that the community can get involved in on any level possible at all?
So we don't really have volunteer work. When we have our events, having the community come out and just learn about what we're doing, referring individuals in your family. Like we said, we want those referrals from law enforcement because of what we're trying to do within the criminal justice system, but we are here for the community. So just referring, if you have a struggling parent or friend, just referring them to us, I think, is just the best way to get involved with what we're doing. If you have a nonprofit or you know of nonprofits that might benefit us or the community, reaching out and connecting with us would be great, just to get the community more involved, because we can't do what we're doing without the community. It's not just law enforcement. This has to have involvement from the community.
Right. Now, is this there is a program that Kane County was the first in the nation to establish, and I believe it had to do with diversion as well. That wasn't tied into this. I think that's one of our talks that we had with Jamie Mosser a few months back, where Kane County it was a pilot program, and Kane County was the first to initiate. Do you remember that talk?
I'm not sure, because there's
We've had a few.
I feel like there's so many different things. I know Kane County is the only county to have all of the specialty courts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're the only county that has all of those. The sheriff did start, he wanted to work with IDOC to bring individuals out of prison who are getting out into the community and get them the services.
Okay.
IDOC wasn't keen on the idea, so there was legislation passed. So we are also, Kane County is the only county using that right now, where if you are getting out of Illinois Department of Corrections within a year to 6 months, you're able to transfer to the Kane County Jail and serve the rest of that time, and they get you set up with a job, housing, clothes, everything you need. So when you're released, you're not just thrown out with $40 and a bus ticket or the jogging suit they give you when you leave.
Gotcha.
So there's a couple of things, but yeah, Kane County is very different than a lot of the counties in Illinois and across the country, and just what we're trying to do.
Yeah, this all shows the work that the county, that Kane County is doing and continues to do.
I want to clarify something earlier. So when you're with our program, you're not with us just for 60 days. That was just if charges were brought up.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, especially if you're suffering from addictions, that can take months up to a year.
Sure.
You know, so I've had individuals in the program for over 2 years, you know, but it just all depends on that case-by-case basis with the individual.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify that.
All right. No, no, good to know. Absolutely. Because for the people who are not familiar with this and the people who may be watching or listening later, if they do know a person or an individual or a family member who could benefit from the services, being accurate is definitely important. All right. 9:25 is the time. Norma Peterson is here. Michelle O'Connell Halbesma, good morning to you. And Brian Daniel Joseph is here as well. Much appreciated. Fernando Brito is here. Good morning, Aurora. Some of the most patriotic things a real American can do is advocate for positive policy changes and support initiatives that provide housing stability and dignity for all Americans. That's patriotism. Thank you. Well said, young man. Well said.
Nice.
All right, 9:25 is the time. Yeah, so Lovey and I have had discussions before, and I work in housing. So I do know for a fact the dignity, the self-respect, the way a person is able to hold their head up if they are housed and housed safely. Because there's a lot of people out here who are one bad day away from relapsing or missing work and not having a job, and all of that type of behavior is just the threshold of you know, having a compounding amount of issues that could perhaps lead you to an interaction with the system that could be, you know, detrimental to you. So, Pastor Mike.
So the new law that passed in Senate, making it could make it illegal in certain cities to be houseless and to be
Yes.
charged so easily, when in fact over 3,000 children in our community have registered already as houseless, and this is a travesty. Also, if your percentage of being houseless goes exponentially high when you're over 50 years old, that's the community right now that is at most risk for being houseless. And with our housing rate in Aurora being at 0.6%, that's the only availability, and the average rent for a 1-bedroom to a studio is $1,700. We're in a crisis, not only a housing crisis, but a humanity crisis. And so how do we respond to that, you know, that crisis? Do we treat people with dignity? Do we see that, you know what, you may be houseless and I don't know if I can get you housing, but where you're at, I'm going to meet you there.
Right.
I wanted to also mention that, you know, I love this program. I love what we're doing. I love, you know, what has been set forth and what we can continue, and know that it's free. You don't have to have certain insurance. You don't have to, but it's free to individuals 18 and up. And we'd like to continue the program because we see the need and we see the crisis, and would like to continue to advocate for our community.
Absolutely. Very well said. 9:28 is the time. Brittany Nicole Lott, good morning to you. Thank you for always supporting the show. This was a fantastic discussion with our friends of the Kane County Collaborative Diversion team. If you or someone you know can benefit from this information, we encourage you to visit the Kane County State's Attorney's website, which we will put in the description of this video. Also, any other information from the Kane County Collaborative Diversion team or the Kane County State's Attorney's office or the Sheriff's office will always be shared on Good Morning Aurora. Right now, we are going to go to commercial, and that is it for our program. But Buenos Dias, Aurora, the second largest city's first bilingual news program, will begin shortly thereafter. Be blessed, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. Take care of yourself and each other.
The Community Foundation was created by a group of people who got together and wanted to make a difference. 75 years later, the Community Foundation makes a huge impact on the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the community. All started with the small but promising beginnings of just a few people who wanted to do something good.
The Community Foundation is made up of all the citizens, really, who want a better community.
And really anyone who wants to do good in the community but doesn't know how to do it, the Community Foundation is the perfect solution, because for 75 years we've been making an impact by connecting donors that care with causes that matter.
So it's multifaceted, and it's an organization that isn't there just to serve a certain small constituency or a special need, but rather the community as a whole.
So many generous donors have left a legacy with us because we are a trusted resource and we make being philanthropic an easy task.
In my mind, it always seemed like a really complicated process. Here, it's just effortless.
The Community Foundation does all the administrative work for you.
I just make a phone call, they're on it, they get back to me right away. It's been seamless.
Our scholarship program is just incredible.
I had no idea the impact that the foundation has on these kids. You know, some of these districts that we're working with here are some of the neediest districts in the state. It renews your faith in humanity, you know.
I was the first one ever in my family to go to college. The scholarship from the Community Foundation has impacted my life and my wife's life in many ways. As you can see, it still brings a tear to my eye.
Without their assistance, we can't do the work that we are meant to do for the citizens of the Fox River Valley community.
You can invest your money in people. You invest it in people, and you hope and believe that the return will be great.
Someone opened the door for you at some point in your life, and it's incumbent upon you, it's your duty to help open the door for others, and you do that through service.
Not your bank's top priority? Here at Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. No hidden fees or runarounds, but a true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. Whether you're opening your first account, found your dream home, planning for the future, or starting a business,